Other examples of these efforts and the dangers they pose to the dangers they pose to democracy. Let's look at more Christian nationalism and, examples of what we've been seeing. And again, I bring these up. I want to be informative. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to let you know. I'm trying to explain why I think that Christian nationalism is part of a serious problem and a serious threat to the United States democracy. But I do think we can band together, and the more we learn and the more we grow together, the more we have understanding of what's going on, the more we can continue inspiring hope for something better. I talk about my deconstruction from evangelical fundamentalist Christianity a lot, but equally as important, and what should go hand in hand with that, is the reconstruction of something new and something better that both integrates what we have learned along the way. I'm not trying to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I want to keep the parts of the past and traditions that we have brought with us through generations. I want to keep all of that which is good and serves all of us, and build something better together. But what is currently going on is the love and devotion to the past and tradition that have been with us for so long. People are using the past and tradition and conservatism. That's what the concept conservative means. People are using these concepts to become, they're greedy motherfuckers is what it is. These billionaires are using these quote unquote Christian values to fearmonger to people and to bring their resources together so that these 1% on top can just keep taking more and more. It's concerning. So let's look at some examples. Sorry. Again, I don't know how to talk. I'm trying to bring as much lightheartedness into this conversation as I can, because I do think that finding humor and finding joy and finding community, all of these things are going to be absolutely crucial moving forward. But to talk about examples of Christian nationalism. Hello, yes, no surprise, the January 6th insurrection. Many of the rioters who stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021 carried Christian symbols, including crosses, Jesus Saves signs, and Bibles. Leading up to that day, evangelical pastors and leaders had been preaching that Trump was anointed by God and that Biden's presidency would lead to America's moral destruction. The attack was framed in religious terms, an attempt to take back America for Christianity, rather than what it was, a violent coup attempt. Trump also sold God Bless the USA Bibles. He sold hundreds of thousands of dollars worth. There was also that eerie photo of evangelical church leaders laying hands on him in prayer. I remember seeing that. I think it was from his first presidency. And I remember seeing that photo, and that was the first serious red flag. There were a ton of red flags for Trump. Hold on. There were a ton of red flags with Trump, even in the first presidency. But for me, the first red flag that this was going to also be about theocracy and Christian nationalism was that weird ass photo of a bunch of rich ass old white men laying hands on Trump in prayer and praying to their male God to give them more maleness. Ugh, I absolutely cannot. Another fabulous example was the Supreme Court ruling in favor of businesses refusing services based on religious beliefs, such as the 2018 Masterpiece Cake Shop case, where a baker refused to make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple. The Supreme Court ruled in the baker's favor, and these decisions often prioritize religious convictions over anti-discrimination protections. Now, we're in 2025, and for those of us who looked at the Project 2025 plan for Trump's second term, it's currently happening now. And Project 2025 was spearheaded by conservative think tanks like the Heritage Foundation. It was a comprehensive plan to reshape federal agencies and policies to reflect Christian nationalist ideals. The initiatives include strategies to dismantle regulations and appoint officials who recognize religious conservative values, potentially undermining it's undermining the separation of church and state, which again is particularly unconstitutional. Our White House.gov right now, Right now, currently, as of this recording, you can go to whitehouse.gov and see that one of the major issues of the White House as of now, if you scroll down on their page, you will find this quote on whitehouse.gov. The president will establish male and female as biological reality and protect women from radical gender ideology. You know what? Men in power are going to have to be protected from my radical gender ideology. That's where I'm at. I am not available for this bullshit. And yes, the LGBTQIA plus rights are all under attack. The rest of the world is looking at us, by the way, and it is embarrassing that human rights are just out the window. I am not educated enough on the immigration issues, but I can tell you that it is absolutely immoral what we are doing to immigrants in this country. Good, hardworking people who are kind and generous and, I don't know, probably here for their own protection. I can't get into all of that right now, but I will be covering a lot of immigration in the future. The book bans in schools. Censorship is textbook authoritarianism, by the way. The groups like the Moms for Liberty. They push these bans under the guise of protecting children, but their efforts often align with religious censorship seen in theocratic regimes that we have seen in the past. You guys, we have the internet. We can see the characteristics of fascism, theocracy, authoritarian regimes that end up crumbling the more they try to to consolidate power and control over their people and use religion as the means in which to get the people to follow the leader, to follow the rules. Like, it doesn't work, number one. Number two, like, we're seeing these signs. Like, this is not a joke. Roe v. Wade overturned in 2022 eliminated federal protections for abortion, allowing conservative states to impose near total bans. I was not radicalized until January 20th, 2025. For years leading up until that day, I was finding my inner balance and like my neutrality along all of these lines. I was starting to call myself apolitical because understand, I have been on the extremist side of both political parties. Okay, I was raised in the far right, ultimate conservative Christian fundamentalist. Okay, there were without a doubt white supremacist undertones to my upbringing. Period. Full stop. And so when I deconstructed from all of that, I swung all the way over here to the left side, and I became an extremist leftist. Anarchy, socialism, all of the things, which honestly are starting to look great. But I was so extreme over here. I was man-hating. It was also an unhealthy behavior, right? So I have been on both extremist parties. I have been in both camps, the extreme of both camps. And I can tell you, after all of this time, that the extremists on both sides, they start to sound the same, but different flavors. All right. So I have gone through this deep transformation of trying to integrate both sides of my experience and trying to find a balance and trying to find my equilibrium internally. And I had gotten to that point. And then January 20th, 2025 came around and I perked up and I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm radicalized. Fuck all of the neutrality. Neutrality is no longer an option because unfortunately, one side of the extremism is starting to become a threat to the United States democracy in a very serious way. You've been watching a clip from the Kayse Melone Show. For full episodes, subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, or Pocket Casts. And you can follow on TikTok, Instagram, or Blue Sky.